The law is designed to punish Russian President Vladimir Putin for the 2014 annexation of Crimea from Ukraine, involvement in the Syrian civil war and meddling in the 2016 U.S. presidential election. The deal, which Putin and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi struck as part of an intergovernment agreement in 2016, has run headlong into the U.S. sanctions law, two officials in Delhi said. And with both Almaz-Antey Air and Space Defense Corporation, which makes the S-400, and Rosaboronexport, which negotiates Russian export deals, listed as under sanction, those deals have become trickier. The airstrikes this month against facilities of the Syrian government, an ally of Russia, has further aggravated tensions between the superpowers. A Russian source close to the Indian S-400 deal said, "A lot will depend on the confidence and sanity of our Indian partners. Wider impact. The effects of the U.S. sanctions law could be more sweeping than intended," said Kara Abercrombie, a visiting scholar at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. Vietnam, whose Air Force flies Russian-made Su-30 fighters and uses the S-300 air defense system, wants to continue modernizing its inventory. Vietnamese military scholar Carl Thayer said he believed Moscow was still pushing Hanoi to invest in state-of-the-art S-400 missile defenses as part of its long-term military plans. "I think it is clear that Russia is still pressing Vietnam for big deals," Thayer said, noting that the two countries already have had reciprocal visits by defense ministers this year. But with the United States working hard to promote sales of American military hardware, and sanctions against Russia's exporting agencies, Vietnam's plans could prove overly costly. Indonesia, meanwhile, said the delivery of the first couple of Sukhoi Su-35 jets out of a total of 11 is on track for this year. Officials said that so far they did not anticipate any changes to the deal with the Russians. Indonesian defense officials declined to describe what, if anything, they might do to tackle the fallout of the sanctions imposed on Russian arms sales. A thorny problem. Indian Foreign Secretary Vijay Gokhale and Defense Secretary Sanjay Mitra held discussions with U.S. officials in Washington last month to try to find a solution, a second Indian official said. The issue is crucial to the Indian military, because without Russian parts, supplies, and maintenance help, our ships won't sail, our planes won't fly, the official said. We can hardly be the regional security provider that America wants us to be at this rate. One way to avoid secondary sanctions would be if the U.S. determines that India is reducing its dependence on Russian arms, said Atman Trivedi, managing director of Hills & Company, a Washington-based firm that advises on international trade and investment. The U.S. administration could also declare that imposing sanctions on India, a major defense partner, would hurt U.S. national security interests. That would allow a waiver permitting India to do business with Russia. The intent of the legislation was never to disrupt defense relations, which Congress has repeatedly recognized in law as a strategic priority to the U.S., said Benjamin Schwartz, aerospace and defense head at United States-India Business Council. Abercrombie of Carnegie added that if Congress grants waivers to India, it may also need to do so for other countries such as Vietnam and Indonesia. The bottom line, India warrants an exemption from these secondary sanctions, as does any country with which the U.S. is forging new and strategically important defense relations, she said.